Hi and welcome to CyberOne training. Today we're going to be giving you a brief overview of the full management platform and light user portal. So we're starting off here in the landing page for the management platform. And as you can see, we can add the logo of the client here. It can be white labeled. And here we have the CyberOne website, which is live and accessible. And so you can add your client's website here or any intranet pages, anything that the client wishes to do. We'll completely customize this front page so it looks familiar to them as they're coming into the platform. So and then once we log in, we're going to come to our main platform where on the top right, we have all of our different modules that are available, and we can just choose the module we want to work in, whether that's policy, compliance, risk management, so on and so forth. And then as we choose the different module that we want to work in, different tabs will display here representing the workflow. If at any time we can't find the tab that we're looking for from any module, we can simply click the plus sign, and that brings up a full menu of all the different use cases and workflows in CyberOne. Then starting from the policy tab, we want to show you the content libraries that are available to all clients. So we have a set of policy templates that are available. These are security policy templates. We also have privacy and other operational templates that can be requested. We have our obligations library with all of our different regulations and standards. We have about 80 of these currently, and we're always adding new ones. And then all of these obligations are broken out into their actual control requirements here in our control library. So depending on the regulations that you have, you also have each of the different control requirements listed. And just to note, these control library requirements are crosswalk to other regulations. So we have them mapped to multiple regulations to ease your policy building. If you want to map to different regulations, you can check that you've covered all of your gaps. We're also able to provide internal control guidance and control activity guidance for compliance, so we can help you build out all of your different control sets for you, as well as evidence checklists, library reference materials. We can provide you with templates for that as well. If we go then into the policy section, we can begin to show you the interrelated workflows. So if we choose the information security top level policy, you can see here that we've mapped it to internal controls. And so we can, that's a simple mapping process where we choose the internal controls we want to link to the policy to make sure that we're in compliance with, in this case, ISO. And then we can go to that internal control. And as you can see, that internal control is mapped to its relative ISO control requirement. And then we can also do compliance from here by starting to build out control activities. So here we go into our control activity. And this would be then our test plan that tells us exactly what we're going to be doing to make sure that we're in compliance with this regulation. So we can edit this as we want. We can put in the name, describe what we want to do for compliance. And then the test plan would be what we're actually collecting in terms of evidence and the verification process for compliance. We can set the test frequency here, and we can also do that in the evidence record as well. So then once we do that, we click save. And then the next thing we would want to do is to add our evidence to this control activity, as this would set off the compliance workflow. So if we actually go into the compliance module now, you can see all of these workflows here. So internal controls, to control activities, to evidence checklist items. So if we just go into the evidence checklist items for 1 second, you'll see here again, this is your document repository. So you can upload and create records for all of the documents you need to collect for compliance. You can create different views for these. So you can have these for different audits. So this could be audit 2020, audit 2019, your ISO audit, your SOC 2 audit, so on and so forth. So you only see the evidence, and the same thing for control activities. We can do the same in control activities. So you can make sure that you're only looking at the different fields that you need to see. And then if we go back into this field, you can see we can check the status, whether that evidence has been collected or not. And we can start compliance from these different evidence records. So if we follow the workflow by going back to the control activity, we'll click into our control, and then we'll collect the evidence for it by clicking on, we've added the evidence here to the control activity. We're going to click on that. We've set the cadence. We want to decide how often we want to check, how often we want to collect this. We decide whether that's going to be a manual or automated process. Manual being we're going to send an email notification to somebody to upload it. Automated being that we're going to integrate with a system through our API Connect and pull that data. And then we set the evidence period. Of course, evidence always has to be in the past. Click Save. And then when we send add new document request with automation, that will send out an email to the the control owner, the person who has to upload the evidence, and it will take them to a portal to upload the evidence. Okay, so we'll show you that side of the tool in 1 minute. So then once we go into the document request phase where we're collecting evidence, we can monitor that from the document request itself, or again from the control activity. And we can see here in our document request tab, we can monitor the different status. And then once that document has been submitted, we can go into the field and we can download the document if we want, just to view it and check on that and make sure that it works. So we can find the document in the notes and attachments section. We just click on it and it will enable us to view that file. And there it is downloaded. Once the document request has been completed, again, either from the document request record or from the control activity, we can come back in. And here we see the document request. And so now we can start to do our testing cycle. And so we can go into a self-assessment test where we just verify the documentation that's been provided for us. Or we can do a control test where we have a workflow that enables us again to verify the evidence. And then we can also submit that to approval. So this is for a compliance team that's working with a compliance manager or building their audit by committee, and they want to see all of the evidence before they go into audit. This just gives them that added layer of defense before actually getting to the auditor to make sure that all of their evidence is ready. So once they've got all their document requests in, we can also actually lock down this environment. So these pages. So the auditor can actually use CyberOne and come into CyberOne and download all this evidence for audit. And we do work with auditors frequently to do that. If there are issues with the document request, then we can also create findings. And we have a full issue management workflow. So when we create findings, they can also again come in from different sources. So they could come in from a vendor assessment. They could come in as self-identified from a member of staff, from internal audit, from one of our other modules, and of course from compliance. As findings come in, what we can do is the risk manager can go in and validate the finding and look at it, and then assign that finding to a primary contact. And then when we click send email notification again, that will now send the primary contact, the person who owns this finding and needs to mitigate, an email requesting them to mitigate the finding. And then again, we'll go into that full back-end process in a second. So note we have, from the issue management perspective, a full issue management workflow. So you can manage findings and risk mitigation plans. If risks can't be mitigated in the time required, you can add exception requests and also extension requests. And then beyond that, from the risk management perspective, we also have a risk register. The difference between a risk register and a finding being that a risk register can be your entire threat environment, as in all of the different things that could impact or affect your business, whereas findings are actual risks that are causing a problem for the business in the immediate and need to be fixed. So your risk register can be built through a threat intel tool and from a combination of different data that's fed into the system. And then as threats are discovered that are related to these different risks, we can again attach findings, we can link the findings to them, and they'll show up in this findings register ready for mitigation. From the risk management perspective, you can also build out performance plans. So this is where we cross into enterprise risk management, and you can set up performance metrics for your organization and measure those metrics against your performance. And again, create findings against those metrics when they don't trend correctly for you. So very simple process. And of course here, once you've set the cadence for the data collection to measure these metrics, everything is automated. So this is what we call continuous monitoring. That's the same for compliance as well. All of your evidence will be collected on an automated process against the cadence that you've set for it. So whether that's monthly, weekly, so on and so forth. And your data will update in real time as your metrics come in. You can measure those metrics on these dashboards. And again, these are fully customizable dashboards. Any data in CyberOne can be seen in a dashboard and also in reports that can be downloaded. So here is that dashboard, for example, that we just looked at. And then when we go back to reports, we can download these reports into Excel spreadsheets. So you have that data at hand at all times. Simple export into Excel. Finally, we also have heat maps. So as you're beginning to build out your strat plans and understand your risk against your performance, these heat maps will track that performance and show you where your key risk areas are. And that can also help you inform your risk strategy and business strategy moving forward. Then in the risk management upstream pipeline, we can also do assessments. So we have assessment templates that we can provide you, or these templates can be built out using our question library, where you can see we have more than 5,000 questions that can be mapped to assessment templates to create your assessment. And again, these can be customized for you. Assessment templates are agile. So as we go into the assessment template, we can look at the questions. Questions can be ordered in any way just by dragging and dropping. They can be moved to parent-child relationships. Parent-child relationships are where if you answer one question correctly, you can skip over the child relationship questions. And this is a very powerful tool, so it enables your vendors or your internal assessors to only answer the questions that are actually germane to them. As part of our assessment process, and of course you can do this for vendors, we can onboard vendors for you. When you onboard a vendor, you set their status depending on where they are in the pipeline. So this is where they're just coming in as a new relationship. Onboarding is when they begin security review. Active, of course, is when they pass security review. You can then make them inactive when the partnership is over, and archive them so you always keep the record, but you want them out of your screen view. Impact analysis is something that we want to do on our vendors. So we can look at the different type of, do an initial scope of the impact and potential risk our vendors might have on the business. And when we go back to our vendor record, we can also set the engagement, which is the actual project that the vendor is doing on, and we can do an assessment on the project as well as on the vendor itself. And we also have integration with BitSight and Whitehawk and other security rating companies that do external threat, so we can pull in their reports as well for continuous risk monitoring. A BitSight risk report differs from an assessment in that an assessment, of course, is taken at a point in time when it's sent to the vendor. BitSight is an ongoing risk monitoring platform that allows you to bring in reporting on a continuous basis to evaluate your vendor. We can send out assessments again just by simply clicking New Assessment, selecting the assessment we wish to send out, clicking Save, selecting the target we want to send it to, which could be a vendor, again, the project that they are working on. It could be a contract, it could be somebody inside the business, a special business unit or target, or a different contact. I'm going to select vendor, primary contact. We just again then select who it's going to. Click Save, and there we go, and we click Send Assessment, and again that will send a notification email. Lastly, we have the Enterprise Assets Management module, so you can put all of your different assets into CyberOne by the different asset types. These asset types can be customized as well to fit your needs. So you can manage all your assets and do risk assessment against those assets or compliance against those assets. And we, of course, then have incident management, where you can build out your incident management plan, track all of your incident types and response plans as those incidents come in. And finally, business continuity. So you have your business continuity plans that you can build into CyberOne, and you can send those out so you can activate those business continuity plans through the platform. That saves your employees carrying around binders. They can have mobile on their phone access to this platform, and when an alert goes out, and we can kick off an alert to have them activate their business continuity plan, come into the platform and get instructions for what they need to do. So let's quickly go to the backside then. So when notifications are sent out, they look like this. So they click on this link and it will take them to a portal where they will complete the workflow that they're being requested of. So in this case, it's an assessment. And note that it takes them to the actual assessment. They don't have to look around for this. And this is what a CyberOne assessment basically looks like. Now, note you can complete it in different ways. You can choose the category that you want to complete. We can add additional contacts, so this assessment goes out to multiple people, and then they just respond. We can require comments. We can require documents to be uploaded as evidence, and then their progress is tracked here as they complete the assessment. This would be a document request. And again, it goes to the actual document request. It tells them what they're looking for. It asks them if there's evidence for the period, gives them the link to upload. They can add comments back to the risk manager and submit. And then last of all, if it's a finding, it will take them into a finding record, where they'll be asked if they can mitigate. We default mitigation to 30 days from the creation of the finding, but they can choose, you can customize this to the date you want. They choose yes to create a risk mitigation plan. No will go into an exception request workflow. So if we click yes, then they type in their mitigation plan, add the expected completion date, upload any additional files for documentation. And again, they have the comment option. And then they just click submit. That kicks off the mitigation workflow. And then when they're ready to complete the actual mitigation plan, they click attest to completion. They come back in and submit. And that will close the finding and notify the risk manager to go in and review and validate the finding. So that's our overview of the management platform and the backend portal for light users. Hope you've enjoyed the training, and thank you very much.